The empty throne. The diplomatic vessel, Harmony's Promise, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol's system, with a grace that belied its massive size. Commander Zalara Voss adjusted her ceremonial robes, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. 400 years had passed since humanity's first transmission reached the Galactic Alliance. Today, finally, she would deliver their answer. Her second-in-command, a crystalline being named Prism, flickered with nervous energy beside her. The bridge crew, representing 12 different species, worked in practiced silence. They all understood the magnitude of this moment. Humanity would become the Alliance's newest member, the first species invited in over a millennium. Zalara touched the golden cylinder at her chest. Inside lay the Covenant of Stars signed by all 47 member species. It had taken 4 centuries of debate, but they had finally achieved unanimous consent. Humanity's creativity, their resilience in the face of isolation, their remarkable progress despite receiving no response to their calls, all of it had impressed even the most skeptical council members. The ship glided past Neptune's orbit, and immediately something felt wrong. Space should have been buzzing with activity. Human records showed extensive mining operations here. Communication relays, research stations. Instead, they found only automated beacons transmitting maintenance reports to no one. Prism's form shifted to deeper blues, a sign of concern among his people. Commander, there are no vessel signatures anywhere in the outer system. No response to our friendship frequencies. Zalara felt a coldness spreading through her 3 hearts. She had studied human culture extensively. They were social creatures, curious and welcoming. Even their ancient fiction dreamed of first contact. They would not ignore an arriving diplomatic vessel. As they approached Earth, the mystery only deepened. The planet looked exactly as the archives showed. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. Cities sparkled like jewels across the night side. Orbital stations maintained perfect positions. The moon bore the scars of human colonization, domes and towers standing proud against the regolith. But no one answered their calls. The scanning officer, a 6-armed Cathari named Dex, worked frantically at his station. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. Commander, I'm reading 0 human biosignatures on Earth, 0 on Luna, 0 on Mars. The entire system is empty. Zalara stood slowly, her mind refusing to process the information. 14 billion humans had lived in this system according to their last census transmission. They couldn't simply vanish. Check for underground shelters, underwater cities, generation ships in deep space. Check everything. Hours passed. The results never changed. Humanity was gone. They landed in what had once been New York City. The streets were clean, maintained by diligent robots that politely moved around the alien visitors. Buildings stood tall and proud, their windows reflecting the afternoon sun. In Central Park, automated gardeners tended to flowers that bloomed for no one to see. Inside the United Nations building, they found their first real clue. A single room had been left deliberately preserved, protected by an energy field that activated when they entered. At its center sat an old wooden desk with an envelope placed precisely in the middle. Written on it in 30 different galactic languages was a simple phrase, "To whoever finally came." Zalara opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a handwritten letter and a small data crystal. The letter was in perfect Alliance standard, though no one had ever taught humanity that language. To the representatives of the Galactic Alliance, I am Marcus Chen, the last Secretary General of Earth. By the time you read this, we will have been gone for approximately 75 years. Please know that we do not leave in anger or despair. We leave because we have found our own path to tomorrow. For 400 years we called out to you. We sent our music, our art, our mathematics, our dreams. We detected your ships passing through our system 23 times. Each time we prepared celebrations. Each time you observed and left without a word. We understood. We were young, untested, perhaps unworthy in your eyes. So we grew, we learned, we built. We cured disease, ended poverty, reached for the stars with our own hands. We developed technologies you never shared because you were never here to share them. 60 years ago, our scientists discovered something remarkable. We call it the consciousness bridge, a way to exist beyond the physical limitations of space and time. We debated for years whether to take this step. Some wanted to wait for you to share this discovery. To join the galactic community we could see but not touch. But waiting had become our curse. Generations lived and died hoping for an answer that never came. Children grew old dreaming of the day aliens would land and say hello. We couldn't ask another generation to wait. The transformation required unity. Every human consciousness had to make the journey together, or the bridge would collapse. So we chose, on July 20th, 2449, the 480th anniversary of our first moon landing, humanity took its next giant leap. We've left everything for you to study. Our history, our achievements, our failures. The data crystal contains the complete records of human civilization and the theoretical framework for the consciousness bridge. Consider it our application for membership submitted in absentia. We hope you understand. We hope you forgive. And we hope that the next young species who calls out to the stars won't have to wait 400 years for an answer. With eternal optimism, Marcus Chen. For all humanity, Zalara read the letter 3 times before the tears came. Around her, the team stood in stunned silence. The weight of their failure, the Alliance's failure, pressed down on them like a physical force. Prism was the first to speak, his voice resonating with harmonics of grief. We were so careful, so deliberate. We wanted to be sure they were ready. And while we deliberated, Zalara said softly, they surpassed us. She inserted the data crystal into her portable reader. It contained everything. The entire history of humanity told in their own words. Their struggles with war and peace, their journey to the stars, their 23 moments of hope when Alliance ships passed by, and finally, their transcendence. The technical specifications for the consciousness bridge were beyond anything the Alliance had imagined. Humanity hadn't just found a way to upload consciousness or transfer minds. They had discovered how to exist as pure consciousness while maintaining individual identity and collective harmony. They had become something new, something that didn't need planets or ships or physical forms. Dex pulled up his scanner again, this time calibrated for quantum consciousness signatures. His 6 arms froze. Commander, they're here, all around us, in a dimension we can barely detect. 14 billion consciousness patterns, existing in perfect harmony. For a moment, just a moment, Zalara thought she felt something, a warmth, a welcome, a sense of being observed with kindness rather than judgment. Then it was gone, leaving only the echo of what might have been. She looked at the golden cylinder containing the covenant of stars, the invitation humanity had waited 400 years to receive. It felt like a mockery now, a prize delivered to an empty theater after the performers had left the stage. Download everything, she ordered. Every file, every record, every memory bank on this planet. The Alliance needs to know what happened here. They need to understand what patience costs. As the sun set over the empty city, Zalara stood at the window of the UN building. Below, the lights of New York began to turn on automatically, maintaining the illusion of life. Somewhere in a dimension beyond their reach, humanity continued its journey, free from the limitations that still bound the Alliance. They had waited as long as they could, then they had chosen their own destiny. The galaxy had finally spoken, but Earth would never answer again. The echo of tomorrow. 3 months had passed since Commander Zalara's report shook the Galactic Alliance to its foundation. The Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never seen such heated debate. Representatives from 47 species argued, blamed, and searched for answers that wouldn't come. Zalara stood before them again, but this time she wasn't alone. The brightest minds from across the Alliance had joined her, scientists, philosophers, engineers, and mystics. They had spent these months on Earth, studying humanity's gift, trying to understand what the youngest species had discovered that the ancient Alliance had missed. Chancellor Thorne, an ancient being whose species had founded the Alliance 10,000 years ago, spoke with a voice like grinding stone. Commander Voss, what have you learned from the human archives? Zalara activated the holographic display, filling the vast chamber with images from Earth. Humanity didn't just discover the consciousness bridge by accident. It was born from their unique perspective, shaped by centuries of calling out to a silent universe. The display showed human history in rapid succession, their wars, their peace, their art, their dreams. While we debated their worthiness, they were asking different questions. Not are we alone, but why do we feel alone? Not how do we join the galaxy, But how do we transcend the need to join? Dr. Yellen, a quantum physicist from the Altarian Collective, stepped forward. The mathematics are revolutionary. Humanity approached consciousness not as emerging from matter, but as fundamental to reality itself. Matter was just one way consciousness expressed itself. They found others. She manipulated the hologram, showing equations that hurt to contemplate. They called it the bridge because it connects physical existence to something beyond. Not death, not an ending, but a transformation into something more complete. Every human chose this. 14 billion souls voting with absolute unity to step into the unknown. A representative from the warrior clans of Draxus stood abruptly. Then they are gone, truly gone? We cannot communicate with them? Zalara hesitated. This was the part that haunted her. We've detected their presence. They exist in quantum dimensions parallel to our own. Sometimes when working with their technology we feel watched, not malevolently but with curiosity and perhaps sadness. They can see us, but we can barely perceive them. She pulled up new data. However, they left more than just the bridge technology. In the months before their transformation, they prepared gifts for whoever would come after. We've found 5 major repositories so far. The first repository appeared on screen. The archive of stories, every piece of human fiction ever created, translated into all known galactic languages. Stories of hope, of first contact of galactic communities, the dreams they had of joining us preserved forever. The second repository materialized. The Cascade Protocol, their solution to faster-than-light communication. Not through subspace or quantum entanglement, but through consciousness itself. Messages that arrive before they're sent because linear time doesn't apply. The third shocked everyone. The Cure Vault, medical solutions to every disease the Alliance has recorded, and many we haven't encountered yet. They spent their final years solving problems for species they'd never met, because they knew someone would need these solutions someday. The fourth brought gasps. The Stellar Garden Project. They've identified and marked 10,000 systems perfect for new life to emerge. Each one has been subtly modified to increase the chances of consciousness arising. Their gift to future species who won't have to wait as long as they did. The fifth made Zalara's voice catch. And finally, the Echo Chamber. A place where physical beings can almost touch the dimension where humanity now exists. We can't cross over, but we can feel them, share emotions, concepts, dreams. It's their way of saying they're still here, still watching, still caring. Chancellor Thorne's ancient face showed something it hadn't in millennia: shame. They gave us everything even after we gave them nothing. A younger representative, barely 50 years in the council, stood up. What about the bridge itself? Could we follow them? Doctor. Yellen shook her head. The bridge required absolute unity, every human choosing together. The Alliance has 47 species with billions of individuals each. We could never achieve that consensus. Humanity could because their isolation forced them to become one people, one voice calling out to the stars. Zalara played one final recording. It was from Marcus Chen, recorded days before the transformation. We don't blame you, his voice filled the chamber. Fear of the unknown, caution with the young, the need for consensus. These are wise traits that have kept the Alliance stable for millennia. But stability and growth are often at odds. We chose growth. We chose to become what we needed to be rather than wait for permission to become it. We've left you everything we learned. Not as a boast, but as a bridge of a different kind. The next species that calls out, answer them. Don't make them wait. Don't let their children grow old staring at silent stars. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, but loneliness is the cruelest void of all. The recording ended. The chamber fell silent. Then something extraordinary happened. In the quantum readings that constantly monitored Earth, there was a spike. For just a moment, clear as day, a message appeared in every monitoring station across Alliance space. Not in any language, but in pure concept that every consciousness could understand. We forgive, we hope, we watch. We remember. Be better. And then, as quickly as it came, the presence faded back to its usual distant observation. Chancellor Thorne stood slowly, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. I call for an immediate vote. Proposition: any species that transmits a call to the stars receives an answer within one solar rotation. No debates, no committees, no centuries of deliberation. Do I have agreement? For the first time in Alliance history, 47 species voted in perfect unity. Zalara returned to Earth one last time. She stood in the echo chamber humanity had built, a crystalline dome in the heart of Geneva. Inside, reality felt thin, like standing at the edge of a dream. She spoke to the empty air, knowing somehow they would hear. We learned your lesson. The next voice that calls out won't wait alone. This is our promise carved in quantum stone and sworn by 47 species. Humanity's vigil is over. Ours has begun. The chamber filled with warmth, a sensation like being embraced by the concept of joy itself. Then, written in condensing moisture on the crystal walls, 2 words appeared. Thank you. Zalara smiled through her tears. Humanity was gone, but they had never left. They had simply become what they were always meant to be. Not citizens of the galaxy, but its conscience, its reminder that the youngest voices often carry the oldest truths. The stars still burned. Ships still traveled between them. But now, when young civilizations sent their first uncertain messages into the cosmic dark, they would receive an answer. Humanity had waited 400 years. Because of their sacrifice, no one would ever wait that long again. In their transcendence, they had given the galaxy its greatest gift, the knowledge that silence is the cruelest answer of all, and that sometimes, the most profound act of wisdom is simply to say hello. The Alliance would remember. The galaxy would change. And somewhere in dimensions beyond physical sight, 14 billion human souls continued their eternal journey. Finally free, finally together, finally home.